Hey everybody, I'm Art Wood. I'm your host of Putting the Real in Real Estate. Glad to see everybody. I have a wonderful guest today, my friend Heyward Young. Welcome, Heyward.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
He said his last podcast was done in 1997. So,
The beginning of the podcast.
the beginning. Yeah, I don't even know it's called a podcast. That
Yeah.
was a chat line. I think is
Exactly.
what it
That was 800.
So Hayward, we were just kind of talking. This whole deal is really just about getting to know you, getting to know more about the business. And for the realtors out there, misery loves company, right? For the folks that are not realtors, I really want to pull back the layers of the onion so you see that they're not glorified. Realtors are not glorified taxi drivers. Right. They're not all printing big fat checks.
No.
So yeah, just go ahead, Hayward. Tell me who is Hayward.
So I have been in real estate in Atlanta. I was just telling you before we sat down, 25 years, which is hard to believe.
You started when you were 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So after corporate America, I got into real estate, started working with a team, doing the grunt work that nobody wants to do. So did a lot of putting out lock boxes, holding open houses, all the stuff that nobody really wants to do to learn the business. And then once I did, I went out on my own.
Okay.
And started doing new home sales primarily with a couple of builders here in Atlanta. And then after that, I decided very foolishly to start open my own brokerage. So in 2005, I believe it was, I started my own brokerage with a couple of partners, and it was called Sanctuary Real Estate.
Okay.
And we had 2 locations, one in Inman Park and one in Midtown.
You just start with one?
No, just add a little,
too easy.
It's too easy to have one. So more overhead, more bills.
Yep.
So we ended up, we were doing very well. And then 2008 happened. We stayed open for about 2 years after that, and then realized, I don't want to do this brokerage thing anymore. Left there and went to Sotheby's, where I've been now for 15 years.
There's a lot to unpack there. What corporate job were you doing?
I was in corporate travel. I was an account manager at American Express and a company called Rosenbluth. And we did the travel. We managed the travel accounts for some big companies around the country.
And what was it about real estate that lured you away?
Yeah. Well, for one, the travel industry, as I'm sure you can imagine, this is how old I am. This was pre-internet.
Okay.
So all travel bookings had to be basically
before Al Gore invented the internet.
Right. You couldn't even book travel without calling somebody or doing something else. So when that changed and people could book their own travel, the money went away. Okay. So that just didn't make sense to be in that industry any longer. So real estate just kind of presented itself. Actually, the ladies that I went to work for had sold my mom's house here in Atlanta.
I think that happens a lot.
Yeah. And they said, I think you'd be good at this. And so they took me on as a young guy just getting started and taught me the business from the ground up.
Okay.
2 really nice ladies, Dixie and Sally, if you're out there.
They still in business?
I don't think so.
That was 25 years ago.
They were older than I am now when they hired me. And they had moved, I believe, to North Carolina at one point. So I'm not sure, but they helped me and let me learn the business. And that's kind of how I got started.
And so then you started selling a little bit then, and then you went out on your own.
Had a great builder. We did a couple of big projects. We did Olmsted at Eastlake, if you're familiar with that, out on Eastlake. That was with John Roby. I did a couple other Whitehall Homes, did a couple other smaller projects with him, and also worked with a group called Springdale Homes and Neighborhoods.
What are the pros and cons? Obviously, I've never done it, but of new home sales.
So new home sales, the pros are obviously it's guaranteed income. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Okay. I mean, you've got people coming to you. You don't have to, it's not, rocket science. It's pretty easy.
I guess your marketing your marketing trying to get people to your community.
Right. And generally when you're a sales agent for those bigger things, you have somebody else doing all that. Okay. So basically you're just there. Okay. Taking appointments, doing stuff. But the con to it is you have no life. I mean, you work 7 days a week. I still do, but you were tied to a project and you had to be there all the time. Plus you didn't get, you went 6-8 months without income waiting while they're building the homes. So you have a big windfall there after a year or so, but leading up to it, so that was tough. That took a little bit of planning.
Well, for me, I was offered they wanted me to switch companies and then go be in a Keller Williams or something. And I'm like, man, that would be great for my business. I'm going, wait a minute. My office right now is 5 minutes away from my house. Yeah. I can come and go as I want. and I'm going to go drive 30, 45 minutes every day. They're going to want me in the office, 3 to 5 days a week. It's like my freedom is worth more than that.
And you got to be happy where you work.
Well, yeah. And as I said in the last podcast, I'm still trying to, figure out what I want to do when I grow up, but we'll see.
We all.
The problem is I'm just never going to grow up. Or maybe that's a problem.
That's not really a problem. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it keeps you a little silly. And my dad, God rest his soul, he died in 2007. And I always said, I want to be just like my dad and never grow up.
Yeah.
What a blessing. All right. So new home sales.
Yeah.
Then you opened the brokerage.
Yeah. So then after that, I just transitioned to a regular resale. And we were doing pretty well. So I decided it was time for me to try something new. I wanted a challenge, and boy, did I get one. It was and what we did is we ended up partnering with somebody not in real estate. So they were marketing people.
Okay.
And so we came together to create a new company. And I still get people telling me, God, it was such a great company. But the timing just stunk.
Right.
If we had adjusted our models a little bit to get through that downswing, we would have been okay. But we were a traditional brokerage, and that was tough during that time.
We talk about, the commissions that y'all make versus the commissions we make. Y'all make more per transaction than we do, but same time, when you have a down market and rates are low, but there's no inventory or whatever, I can refinance.
Yeah.
And so I looked through 2008 where my income got cut by 50%.
Yeah. No.
But I still had, do you remember the HARP loans? Home Affordable Refinance Program.
Yes.
So you can loan up like 100,
yes.
125, maybe even 150%. But what I've learned through now the second cycle being the pandemic is somebody loves every economic cycle. And so I felt guilty in 2020 and 2021 when people were suffering, like, hey, man, this COVID sucks.
That's crazy. That was one of my biggest.
It was my biggest time.
And shout out to Governor Kemp who did it. But when they changed the closing, we didn't have to be when they made it, and we were considered essential workers.
I love
so we
that.
were able to go to work. And actually, I did do. A buddy of mine owns Gray Television, which is a series of local affiliates, and they had me interviewed during that thing from my dining room table. Zoom, everything else. But I was like, this has probably been one of my better years in my 20-year career.
I closed outside of a home they were moving out of or whatever on the dining room table outside. Went to attorney's office to drive through closings, but my main closing attorney I use for most everything, John Bagwell, he had in his conference room table, he had this big screen TV, and he would just sit there. And I remember one day we did 8 closings back to back to back to back to back. And so it was nuts. So yeah, I mean, I think
there's opportunity even in bad times, but yeah, we did pretty well during that.
But, it's kudos. And I say this all the time. When I introduce myself, when I'm pitching realtors or whatever, I was like, I've been in it 20 years. I got in 5. And most mortgage guys or folks, professionals can't say they made it through all of that.
That's right.
They got out and came back in. And I was blessed to do that. So hate that you had to go through it. But as they say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, that's right. And we're both still here.
That's exactly right. So tell me, Heyward and I are talking. Actually, I came in, he was talking to TR, and I found out he's a TV star.
Former TV star.
I don't know. Once TV star, always a TV star. Just ask Corey Haim and Corey Feldman.
Yeah. Well, one of them's no longer with us.
I know.
So let's not use that.
Which one?
I can't remember. The Coreys.
Wait, before we get going, favorite movie all time, what is it?
God, that's tough.
While you're thinking about it, mine's Lost Boys.
That's a really good one. In honor of Robert Duvall, who just died, is one of my absolute favorite actors ever. He did a movie that was filmed and I'm from South Carolina originally, and it was filmed in Beaufort, South Carolina, but it's called The Great Santini, also known as The Ace. There were 2. It was called 2 different things, but it was filmed in Beaufort about a military guy and his family that got moved all around. It is one of the best movies ever. It's based on a Pat Conroy book, and Pat Conroy is my favorite author, so it's worth checking out.
Okay. There's another one that he was in, and I cannot remember. It had Haley Joel Osment in it, and something about Lion.
He's everything he's in.
But it is wonderful. I thought that's where you're going with that.
Yeah.
All right. So I digress.
But I digress.
Tell me about the TV show.
So it's kind of funny. HGTV came to Atlanta. They already had an existing show called Design to Sell, which was already going in, I think, Chicago, Los Angeles, I think New York, or one other market. And they decided to expand it to Atlanta. And my client actually recommended me to the producer. One of my clients said I would be great in it. So they screen tested a whole bunch of us, and they ended up picking 2 of us. It was me and a great girl that at the time was at Remax Buckhead named Tanya.
What was her last name?
Johnson, I think. She was awesome. She did a lot of athlete business and stuff, but she was wonderful, pleasure to work with. But, the other people, that was their job, was being on that show. For us, we were realtors, but we would, so what they did is they split the episodes between me and Tanya.
Okay.
So the real estate expert on the show would either be me or her. And so I did that for almost 3 years.
And it was built more around flipping? Or?
No, it was people trying to sell their homes, but they needed some help. A lot of them were just poorly decorated or poor updates or didn't have any updates, and market wasn't receiving them well. They would call us to come in, and I would come in the beginning and tell you what I thought would improve the house, what was wrong with it. Then they bring in a designer and a builder to fix it, and then at the end we'd come back and critique the product.
So the funny thing is when you watch I haven't watched them in ages, but Flip This House or whatever.
Yeah.
And you watch it and we made $15,000 or I flipped some homes, and I find those to not be very realistic.
They're not 100%. You don't want to see how the sausage is made. It's completely not what you see on TV. It's TV. It's entertainment. Period. Yeah. There were some people, though, that really needed our help, and they did sell their homes when they couldn't before. But there were other people who just wanted to get a free makeover.
That's okay.
I mean, they pay taxes on the services, but other than that, it's just a free makeover.
Interesting. So
yeah, they still have to pay taxes on the improvement. They're getting the labor. And the other thing is they say, you get a budget of $500 and look what we've done to the house. Yeah, your budget's $500 for materials, but you're getting all the labor for free.
So that was normally the
I think it was 1,000. Sometimes different ones were 1,000, 1,500.
You can't put a window.
No, I know. It's crazy. So it's definitely TV.
But you said, and I would have thought, and I think the presumption is, man, that would have blown up your business. But you said it actually didn't.
It actually hurt mine because people thought, oh, well, he's not selling real estate anymore. He's too busy being a TV star. So I had a couple of clients that, kind of hurt my feelings when I saw that they had listed their home with somebody else. And I called and I said, what, did I do anything wrong? I'd like to learn from my mistakes. What can I do better? And they're like, no, we just figured you were too busy with your TV career.
Well, you just had a great segue because I think, I can't speak for all realtors, mortgage folks or whatever, but I think we all hate social media. It's a necessary evil.
It is.
But I mean, how bad does it hurt your feelings? And maybe, I think we're similar ages, but maybe it hurts your feelings less. But to see when your friends, your past clients or whatever, and you don't even get a phone call.
It's the worst.
You just see it as like,
it's the worst.
What did I do?
It's the worst. I mean, honestly, when I built my business back in the 90s, when I was really kind of hit my stride in real estate and stuff, all my friends were realtors. I mean, I had so many. Our friend group, there must have been 5 realtors, within our tight friend group. And,
Are they still realtors?
Almost all of them.
Okay.
Almost all of them. But, it always hurts feelings when one of your friends went with the other person in the group.
Well, that's even worse.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it was tough. It was really, really tough. So what I did, honestly, at that point is I shifted my business away from friends. So I used my sphere of influence, but not so much my friend group. So every now and then they'd throw me a bone. One or two of them would, but the bulk of my business came from outside of my friend circle.
Yeah.
Because I got tired of getting hurt.
Yeah. No, and it's funny, most of the time, and maybe this is the negative how I internalize it, is I feel like it's something I did wrong. Not in the last time we did it, it could have gone up perfectly, but why was I not top of mind?
Right.
And so I think that's why I tell everybody that if it wasn't for work, I'd be off social media.
Yeah.
But
I mean, this morning I have a new listing coming up. Yeah. It's in the coming soon status, and you got to put it out there because I've already had realtors reach out to me. They're like, well, hey, where is it? What's going to be? How much? It is a necessary evil, and you kind of have to do it.
But it does. It's
like your podcast.
I like the podcast. So we'll see. This is episode number 3. I think it'll be 3 or 4. We're recording 3 or 4 today, but we'll see. And one of my things, the biggest, and I told you the reason that I'm doing this, but I try to be so transparent, so genuine, so authentic. And that's the biggest reason I want to do this. Is I do want, when the first one where I was interviewed about me, I said, no, I really don't love the business. I don't, because I am so relational, and especially more so in my business and your business, it's what's your rate?
Yeah.
And
competition on your side than it is on ours.
yeah, but you'll get it sometimes. Listing is like, we list it for 2%.
Yeah.
And
there's definitely, budget realtors out there or discount realtors that will list for less, but you get what you pay for. I went to a listing appointment not too long ago, and I got the listing over a discount brokerage because I was able to pull data from, what we've sold at Sotheby's, Atlanta Fine Home Sotheby's, versus what, I'm not going to mention any names, but what a discount broker that offering a reduced commission sold for. And every time we were hot net to the seller. So, you're getting what you pay for. And in the end, it's really not costing you anymore.
No, I had a phone call right before we stepped in here that, and again, I won't say names, but he had been pre-approved through a big bank. And he's like, it was painless. It was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, oh, awesome. What do you do? He's like, I'm in the movie industry. And I'm like, and you're going with the big bank that pre-approved you in 5 minutes. Have they seen any of your W-2s, your tax returns?
Yeah.
Well, no. And I was like, and how well do you know this guy? Well, I don't know. I just
the 800 number.
Yeah, 800 number, Chase Mortgage. Oops, I just said it. Yeah. I just said it. And I was like, and when you're going to get a hold of them between 9 and 5.
Yeah.
On Monday through Friday. So I was like,
and when they do see your bill or whatever it is from your thing, it's going to change.
Yeah, it's
the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval.
It's the difference between an 800 number and a mortgage professional, truly. All right, so besides my nightmares of social media, give me, and I'm just laying it on you.
All right.
The most nightmarish real estate story that you have.
Quite a few, actually, but let me think. Probably the worst was early in my career. I had a married couple that probably shouldn't have been married, and we're in the process. She had actually already filed for divorce, and we did not know it.
Okay.
Which did come up in the mortgage process.
Yep.
And then after we finally got all that worked out, they reconciled, I guess you'd call it. We got to the closing table. And you do that last little run of their credit.
Yeah.
And she had gone out and bought a car. And did not tell anybody.
Yeah.
Did not tell her husband, didn't tell anybody. And loan didn't close. Never did close.
Lost earnest.
Well, if they're not watching or if they ever see this, but yeah, they ended up getting divorced. So I guess our initial gut reaction was
what? I haven't had many issues like that, but I do remember one, and the guy went and bought a BMW, but it really totally wasn't his fault. He had done it a month or so before contacting me, and
it
hadn't shown up on the credit yet. And of course, it went from like a $580 payment to $750 payment or something. And you just bob and weave. I mean, I was hoping your horror story would have a happy ending, because in fact, I'll give you a little leeway to think about it. But what's one where your expertise saved the deal? It was a nightmare, but wasn't going to happen, and you came to save the day.
Yeah. So that's happened multiple times, actually, with people that were selling. This is generally on the selling side of the equation. And part of our job, I think, is we have to kind of be detectives too in the beginning. You have to ask all the right questions, because you don't know what's going on with what they've done in the past. We had a guy that ended up listing with me after a while. They had liens all over the house, over the property, all over the property.
And they didn't know about it?
They didn't know about it. And so we ended up doing a title search on the property ahead of time, because he thought there could be an issue.
Okay.
And we were able to handle all of that
Had you not, that would
then we would have gotten to the closing table and found out that he had they had IRS liens and mechanics liens and, all sorts of fun things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's certain things that, get pre-inspections,
Yep. Pre-appraisals and
getting
listings a lot of times. If there's a gray area and your client thinks, which they always do, think their house is worth more than it is.
Of course. Until the county tax bill
Right.
comes in. It's not worth this.
Yeah,
Are you kidding
exactly.
me?
Then they're going to fight it. But, I will, and I've lost listings before because I will not overinflate it.
Yeah.
If it's a little bit, I'll make a deal with them and say, give us 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If we don't get an offer in 2 weeks, if the market's good and you're not getting an offer in 2 weeks, you're overpriced.
Yep.
Because if the market's good, if you price well, it should sell. Even in a regular market.
Okay.
Or you should be at least getting the activity.
Yeah.
And there's certain things when you get feedback, there's certain things you can't change.
Yeah.
If that's true. I want a flat lot. Well, I can't give you a flat lot. It's on the hill. Can't help. Those kind of things I can't change. But if all things considered, if it's priced well, it's going to sell.
What are you seeing in today's market? If y'all are watching this in 2035 or whatever it is, this is sometime in 2026, March of 2026. I'm hearing all kind of strange stuff about houses sitting that are not priced over, and they're just sitting. Nobody's looking at them.
Yeah. Depends on where you are.
It's pockets.
So when they say all real estate is local, they're not kidding. Like the listing that I'm getting ready to list in Brookhaven. So one thing about Sotheby's that I absolutely love is our marketing and our back office people that can give me information so that I can go to my sellers with it. But we do a lot of targeted, down to the zip code. This is what's happened year over year. Number of listings, sales price, number of closings from 25 versus 26.
Yep.
And I can compare those.
Okay.
So as we sit here in Tucker's had increase in a number of listings on the market. The prices have actually come down almost 20%.
I'm glad
I'm not thrilled. I'm a Tucker homeowner. But there are, in Brookhaven, polar opposite. Prices are up almost 20% year over year. So it just depends on where you are. There are pockets, Southside, West End, places like that were emerging markets are struggling it. So, but other parts, Morningside, in town, the condo market is another example. It's tough.
Yeah.
Really tough.
Well, from the condo market, that's got to be driven a lot by lending standards too. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the biggest thing when they had that condo collapse in Miami, they want to see all, the structures and then you have to have certain water deductibles that HOAs are willing to go change because it's going to inflate their premiums,
their monthly.
You get a perfectly healthy condo HOA that does all the things right, and then they don't have the right
they don't get approved.
The water deductible.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what do I do? I'm actually talking about, we're off market in St. Augustine. I have a condo. Yeah. And we're just silently just checking out, see if anybody's interested, but they're just not moving as well.
No. No, the condo market is, and I have seen this in 25 years. When the market goes a little soft, condos are generally the first things.
They're just not unique.
No, and especially when you're in a market like, say, Midtown. I'm not going to disparage any buildings, but if you're in a building that's 30 stories of the exact same units stacked on top of each other, the uniqueness is gone. Somebody undercuts. If somebody undercuts you, it's the same thing.
Right.
And you don't get, when the developer sells a condo, sometimes they'll go up $5,000 or $6,000 a floor.
Yep.
But resale market doesn't look at it that way.
Interesting.
So they may give you a little bit better for a higher floor, but they're not going to give you $5K, $10K per floor kind of thing for the higher up you are. So it's a totally different bird. In a previous life, I worked for the condo store, which is all we did was condos. I know, but that was during the boom, and that was when, that was back when we had stated income, no doc. It was those easy peasy, but that's also why we got in the mess we got in. So, it is what it is.
You know what? Speaking of that, and I'm just taking a left turn, there should be a market for what they call SISA, stated income, stated asset.
Yeah.
There should, not to what the problem was, it got to be whoever could fog a mirror could get a loan. But if you have a
strippers are buying $2 million houses.
Look,
in
I've
Florida.
done those. But no, somebody's got a 760 score that's probably 40 plus years old that has mature credit. which you can never say that. You could never limit it to over 40. That they had $1,800,000 in the bank or whatever.
And they had investments and they had
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
There's a place, and you got
That's where it should have
down.
been, but that's not what was happening.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's like, how much you make? I make 150.
Yeah.
What do you do? I'm a Walmart greeter.
Yeah. I make pottery.
But I'm like, all right, so I got to tell you this other little story joke, but now you think, my dad was in truck and auto parts. He passed in 07, and I'd worked for him, did not like truck and auto parts at all. But he told a story about this guy that had a truck and auto parts company, and they go to Vegas for the seminar. They're sitting in this huge boardroom, doctor, lawyer, CPA, doctor, lawyer, CPA, and this guy that owned truck parts. And he's dressed
casually,
more casual than either one of us are. And they're all bragging, whatever. And it gets to him, and everything gets quiet. He says, my name is Bubba, whatever. He says, and I sell truck parts. And he says, but I sell a lot of truck parts. I sell a lot of truck parts. Yeah. So anyway, I told you I was going dead left on that one. Couple more questions for you. What if you had somebody walk in this door and say, I want to be a real estate agent right now? That was going to be my first question. But in the event that he or she said, nope, I'm dead set on it.
Okay.
What would be the number 1 or 2 or 3 piece of advice that you give them to be successful?
Okay. First thing is you got to learn the business. People think, realtors are tour guides.
Yep.
Just show up and get a check. And there's a lot of things that you have to learn about the business before you can just jump in and go.
Yep.
I would highly recommend getting a mentor.
Sure.
Or joining a team.
Yep.
Or doing something where you can learn the business ground up.
Yeah.
Having someone you can call, not necessarily your broker every time, just have an agent, an experienced agent that you can go to and learn about. Number 2 is you're going to have to be really out there. You have to be, you're not going to sit at your house and expect people to just show up.
Right.
You got to get out there. You have to be, if you're kind of an introverted person, it's going to be hard.
Yes, it will.
It's going to be very hard for you. And number 3, and this is not blowing smoke up your rear, but you really need to get your partners are very important.
Yeah. Feel free to blow smoke out.
Yeah. So get you a good mortgage person.
Yep.
Get you a good closing attorney that knows the things that you're not an expert in, because you cannot be an expert in all things. So, it's like when I remember taking the real estate exam and I passed barely my first time because I didn't do so well on the financial side.
Okay.
Because of all that stuff, which to this day, 25 years later, I've never used.
You shouldn't. Yeah, right. So, I said the same thing when we got a mortgage license. So that leads to a story too.
Yeah.
When I first got in, we didn't need to have a mortgage license. Georgia didn't need licensure, and then you go through 08 and Dodd-Frank, and so I'd been lending for 3 or 4 years. I was like, I don't need to study, so I don't study, and it's a Georgia test, and I missed it by 2. And then I'm like, all right, well, you get to take it again in 30 days. I'll read through a practice test and be fine. Missed it by 1. Well, now at this point, I get one more shot at it before I have to wait 6 months. Again, well, I just had to wait 6 months. You can't just keep taking it every 30 days. And I, even then, I'm such a procrastinator. I studied like the night before, but actually really studied. And I remember going through, and I put my hand up on the screen and pushed the button, and I was like, and it was like an 84 or something like that. I started crying in the middle of the thing because I had brand new kids at home, and I called my wife and apologized profusely that I put her in a situation. I was like, what the heck was I going to do? Yeah. But to your point, it was about, if you're going to open your own brokerage, if you're going to, all these things that I was never going to do. Yeah. Why is it that important to me?
Just like when they made you take algebra and or whatever it was that you may have never used in your life, but you took it.
My 1D I've ever had in my entire life was algebra 1.
I think mine was geometry.
I did good in geometry.
I did terrible. Until I got a teacher that showed me how to do it right.
Right. Right. I tell my kids about that all the time is you can go to 2 different teachers and they can be both excellent, and I'm going to do terrible in one and great in another.
Yeah, because everybody learns differently.
All right, so I got the nod that we're coming into the home stretch. What is your superpower?
Gosh, that's a tough one. I mean, I'd like to think that I would love to tell you it's that I'm very focused on small things and little things, but that's not the case.
No.
I think primarily it's just I can be a good resource to my client.
Sure.
And that's from everything. And I have been being in the business this long. It's helped me learn things and do things. And I feel like I can be my superpowers being their biggest cheerleader and their biggest, and I've had the best compliment I've ever had, and I've had it multiple times over my career is, God, that was easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, most people are terrified.
Scared to death. Scared to death.
An example, one you closed for me last week, that he was terrified, as you know. And it just afterwards, he was like, oh, that's it? It's done?
Yep.
I own the house? I was like, you own the house?
Yeah, well,
That's
yeah, yes. I mean, he actually left me 2 different 5-star testimonials, and it was you did too. I just haven't read it yet. So thank you. But from working with you, I would say that you are gregarious. You have the client's best interest at heart. You're reachable. I mean, that's the thing.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard to return a phone call or to answer your phone.
No, I mean, the bare minimum, I always tell clients, if I'm in something, I can't do something, text me. I'll text you and say, hey, I'm in a closing. I'll call you immediately after, and I do.
So I've never asked you this. So this will be the last one. Maybe 2 more. Who is family to you? I don't know you very well outside of business.
Yeah. So I have a partner of 5 years, Max, who is in, I don't even know. It's terrible. I can't even say what he does. It's something to do with
the FBI.
No, he's in. He worked for TikTok for years, and now he does. He's creative director, which doesn't mean a lot to me, but he's good at what he does. That's what I know. But and then I'm very fortunate to have both my parents at 90 years old.
Bless you.
Very close to both of them. One lives down at the beach, and one lives in mountains in Colombia, and trying to spend as much time as possible with them. And then I have 2 siblings, one who lives at the beach and one who lives in Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah, that's my family. I have lots of cousins, we get together once a year for Thanksgiving.
One of the things I say on my bio is family is who I am. Mortgages is what I do.
Yeah.
So parting question, if it wasn't for real estate, what would you be doing right now?
I've been asked this question before and I've thought about it. Except for not being able to pass biology multiple times, I would have loved to have been in the medical field. Just the idea, my uncle is a surgeon, and I remember when I was 12 years old, I think, we had a thing called Winterim, where you went and you had to go do something you thought you wanted to do with your life. And I went and lived with my uncle for a week and went into surgery with him and all that stuff. And, did the rounds with him, met all the patients, and I loved it. But I just was not real good at
I just wasn't good at it.
I wasn't good at biology. And I think that's sort of a requirement.
I think so. Well, we had interim. It was called it was interim, and we had to pick something for a month.
Yeah,
totally unrelated to anything else. And I'm still lazy and a procrastinator. So I signed up for production of a musical.
Yeah.
I'm like, this has got to be easy. I'll just sign up to do set and we'll do this.
Yeah.
Well, they sat us all in a room, 50 of us had signed up for the class, and made us all stand up and sing Amazing Grace.
Oh, God.
Individually.
Oh, wow.
For those of you that have not heard me sing, I am a worship leader at our church, and I front a 90s cover band. I ended up with a lead damn role. I did, or the biggest role is called The Mystery of Edward Drood, and I was the moderator, the chairperson. It had multiple roles in it, and I had a 5-page monologue that I had to explain in the middle. It's a really cool story. It's Mystery of Edward Drood. And I was still using the book on dress rehearsal. It was terrible. Anyway, Heyward, I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. Enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for watching, Putting the Real in Real Estate. We'll see you next time. Take care.